keep records. We're reading Exodus chapter 38, verses 1 through 31. And if that is not clear in the reading of all of these chapters at the end of Exodus, I think it's clear now that God keeps records and he keeps detailed records. We're going to see that in particular at the end of our reading today when the text tells us explicitly that God kept records of what happened. And we do see that God kept very detailed records of how the tabernacle was supposed to be built and how it was going to be built. So let's read as they finish completing the pieces of furniture. The first one we will read about is the altar of burnt offering, that place where animals would be sacrificed, they would be burned, and they would blood would be splattered all over this brazen altar, this altar of burnt offering. So let us look at the text. He made the altar of burnt offering of acacia wood. 5 cubits was its length, and 5 cubits its breadth. It was square, and 3 cubits was its height. He made horns for it, and on its 4 corners its horns were of one piece with it, and he overlaid it with bronze. And he made all the utensils of the altar, the pots, the shovels, the basins, the forks, and the fire pans. He made all its utensils of bronze. Notice everything inside the temple is made of gold. This is of bronze. And he made for the altar a grating, a network of bronze under its ledge, extending halfway down. He cast 4 rings on the 4 corners of the bronze grating as holders for the poles. Remember, because everything would be movable. This was a movable tabernacle, a movable temple tent. The Levites would carry each of these pieces of furniture through the wilderness. Verse 6, he made the poles of acacia wood and overlaid them with bronze, and he put the poles through the rings on the sides of the altar to carry it with him. He made it hollow with boards. And then we see the making of the bronze basin, the basin full of water that would stand outside the tabernacle, in which the priests would wash themselves. So we see also he made the basin of bronze and its stand of bronze from the mirrors of the ministering women who ministered in the entrance of the tent of meeting. The bronze basin was created. Everything outside the temple was bronze. Everything inside was of gold. And then we see the making of the court. Remember, there is this massive wall, this massive barrier from the people of Israel that live outside the courtyard and inside the courtyard where the sacrifices will take place. There's the brazen altar that we looked at, the burning of the sacrifice. There is the brazen basin, the brass basin, which they will wash themselves. There's the entry point into the tabernacle, and then here is, of course, the Holy of Holies, and this would be what the high priest would wear. Hopefully you're getting some of these images kind of seared into your mind as we've been reading through the book of Exodus. But let's read the text of the making of the court, this division with the people of Israel in the holy dwelling place of God. And he made a court. For the south side of the hangings of the court were fine twined linen. Remember, it's the good stuff, 100 cubits. Their 20 pillars and their 20 bases were of bronze, but the hooks of the pillars and their fillets were of silver. For the north side, there were hangings of 100 cubits. Their 20 pillars and their 20 bases were of bronze, but the hooks of the pillars and their fillets were of silver. And for the west side were hangings of 50 cubits, their 10 pillars and their 10 bases. The hooks of the pillars and their fillets were of silver. And for the front to the east, 50 cubits. The hangings for one side of the gate were 15 cubits with their 3 pillars and their 3 bases, and so for the other side. On both sides of the gate of the court were hangings of 15 cubits with their 3 pillars and their 3 bases. All the hangings around the court were fine twined linen. Remember, it's the good stuff that they use. The bases for the pillars were of bronze, but the hooks of the pillars and their fillets were of silver. The overlaying of the capitals were also of silver, and all their pillars of the court were filleted with silver. And the screen for the gate of the court was embroidered with needlework in blue and purple and scarlet yarns. And what kind of linen? Fine twined linen. This is the good stuff. It was 20 cubits long and 5 cubits high in its breadth, corresponding to the hangings of the court, and their pillars were 4 in number. Their 4 bases were of bronze, their hooks of silver, and their overlaying of their capitals, and their fillets of silver. And all the pegs for the tabernacle and the court all around were of bronze. So again, remember the reason we are able to have drawings such as these is because God kept records, and they were detailed records of what it is. So you can have a glimpse into what the tabernacle looked like. Thankfully, we have smart people able to put these pictures together. Now, the materials of the tabernacle. These are the records of the tabernacle. Yes, they are indeed a very long record, and God is keeping record of this. How much more is He keeping record of the things that we do? He knows all things. So these things were written down and kept. The tabernacle of the testimonies, they were recorded at the commandment of Moses. The responsibility of the Levites under the direction of Ithamar, the son of Aaron the priest. And so these were the Levites recorded, and they were responsible for keeping it and also responsible for taking care of all of the items in the temple. The tribe of Levi. Bezalel, the son of Uri, the son of of the tribe of Judah, made all that the Lord commanded Moses. And with him was Aholahab, the son of Ashamash, of the tribe of Dan, an engraver and designer, embroiderer in blue and purple and scarlet yarns, and fine twined linen. And now we see the record of the offerings. All the gold that was used for the work and all the construction of the sanctuary, the gold from the offering was 29 talents, 730 shekels by the shekel of the sanctuary. The silver from those of the congregation who were recorded was 100 talents and 101,775 shekels by the shekel of the sanctuary. A bekah a head, that is a half a shekel, by the shekel of the sanctuary. For everyone who was listed in the records from 20 years old and upward, for 603,000 men, 550 men. The 100 talents of silver were for casting the braces of the sanctuary and the bases of the veil, 100 bases for the 100 talents, a talent a base. And the 1,775 shekels he made hooks for the pillars and overlaid their capitals and made fillets for them. Remember, they were able to build this tabernacle because the people of God gave of their offerings, gave both of their material possessions and their skills that they had. The bronze that was offered was 70 shekels and 2,400 shekels. With it he made the bases for the entrance of the tent of meeting, the bronze altar, and the bronze grating for it, and all the utensils of the altar, the bases around the court, the bases of the gate of the court, all the pegs of the tabernacle, and all the pegs around the court. I pray that has been a blessing to you, and I'll see you all in the next video.